Coming up this week on the OK Bloomer podcast.
It's like he took a Cosby Pill.
He took a Cosby Pill. Did nobody watch these?
Nick's prying open the VCR with a screwdriver, and you know this is gonna spell trouble. Nick's not a handyman.
Satan spits out his daiquiri. His mouth isn't even moving.
Nick's really in it this week.
Imagine if you had to constantly buy a new radio if you wanted to hear new music. The era of radio you purchased only played that era of songs. Oh, did you hear that thump? That's Steve Jobs sitting up in his coffin.
Did you know that SATs is like KFC now? It doesn't actually stand for anything.
And it gives you diarrhea.
Don't know about the future. Don't.
They don't care about the future, cause they live it in the past. Sal and Curtis taking all 5 seasons of Blossom to task. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll be weak in the knees. This show's got more range than this on the keys. Only gal in the house, and that's how she goes. One brother was a junkie, and the other one was. Weekly lessons coming fast in the Russo flat. Blossom's teenage girl problems are as big as her hat. So take your opinionations and make them shine. It's the OK Bloomer podcast, and it's about damn time.
Don't know. Don't know.
Interesting note, I think this is the first one I'm drinking coffee instead of alcohol while doing, so
Wow.
we'll see how this goes.
All right, let's see how this goes. Yeah, for sure, man. You've never drank coffee on any of these? You're like a coffee fiend, man.
I know, but I feel like I'm better lampooning and raising up 90s sitcoms while I've had a couple beers in me instead of my usual heart-pounding caffeine-driven existence.
All right, well,
I didn't get the Rona though.
Oh, that's
you
good.
know?
Nice.
I think I found a cure. It went through my house and it missed me.
Well,
Because
I think it missed us too.
I think I live on 4 hours of sleep and abuse caffeine, so
That's got to be
Rona
the vaccine
entered-
right there.
Rona entered my body and was like, "Good God, kid, no thank you." My blood pressure was just like, "You think so? You think so? Get out of here."
It just ate the virus instantly as soon as
Probably.
it entered your body.
It just couldn't sustain my gear. It was just like, "Oh my God, this is too intense."
Well, good for you, man. You found the cure.
Right?
Oh, God.
All these healthy people that get sleep and eat fruits
what is
and
that?
vegetables.
What
They're
is
the
that?
first to get it, right?
Yeah, totally.
They were so easy. Their bodies just like folded like a card table. All right, well, whatever, man. Come take over, Rona.
That's what it is,
Yeah.
man. That's the secret right there.
Like you have nothing to say, and I just keep going back to it. And you're like, all right, buddy, let's just move on, shall we?
I'm waiting for your notes to fire up here.
We all are. Come on, old phone.
Good God,
I've been
it's like a
pressing
DOS
it.
computer, man.
I'm in that like circle of hell where every time you hit the button on the old iPhone, it shows you the charging screen, but
Yeah.
that probably just set it back another 2 minutes.
Oh, great. So
So,
that's how
whatever.
far we are, eh? What is this, iPhone 3?
Probably.
Damn.
It's iPhone, I don't even know. God, my life, Sal. If someone came into my room right now, they'd think I'm either like doing some illegal hacking or I have my own pawn shop. One or the other. Maybe both.
Best I can do is $40.
I have an MSI, I don't even know what this is. MSI GeForce GTX 1050
Uh-huh.
with an Intel Core 17. It's supposed to be the super fast gaming laptop. Spoiler, it is not.
No?
No, but that's when I work from home. This is the one I use because it's PC based.
Ah, yes.
And my work is PC based, and my PC does, or my MacBooks do not like the. Actually, this one guy quit. The IT guy, the original guy that hooked me up on my Mac.
Yeah.
He quit, and then I had like an issue. Then I called like the next guy in line, and I was like, "Oh yeah, he hooked me up a year ago through the Mac." And they're like, "We can't run Mac," and I'm like, "Well, he did it." And they looked into it, and they're like, "Dude, you have been like putting the entire company at risk for the last week by logging on through this in your MacBook." Like, and I was like, "Say what?"
Me?
I was like, "Well, it's a good thing nothing bad ever happens with me in electronics."
Yeah,
so.
right? Do they know your history with electronics?
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh no, God no.
They should.
I lie to get every job I can get. Oh yeah. Proficient in new and constantly evolving and developing technology. Absolutely. Goes home and watches a VHS tape.
Yeah, right.
Man, we had a Teams meeting the other day, and they're like, yeah, we noticed some glitches in this program. Everyone fire it up. And I have never opened this program before. And I was just sweating bullets, Sal. And they're going around. This is like everyone on the call. And they're like, Edmonton, what was your issue? And they're like, well, we were doing this, and then it downloads this, and usually you have this bar here that shows the the progress, and I was like, oh God, don't talk to me. And then they're like, Saskatoon, what's up? And I'm like, oh, fanging and banging, and everybody laughed. And I was like, I want to know what Yorkton's up to.
Did you actually say fanging and banging?
And everyone laughed.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And I was like, Curtis, you old dog, you live to fight another day. And then I locked my fingers behind my head and leaned back in my chair and said, well, it's a good thing this program will never come up again in my career.
I feel like you lean back.
Hey, it's firing up.
All right.
Steve Jobs is alive. I actually, on my Disney review, I already gave it to Steve Jobs this week.
Nice.
I was reviewing the Brave Little Toaster too, and there's a part where they're listening. One. Yeah, there's 3.
Wow.
They went to Mars too.
Oh yeah, I think I knew that. Sorry, Steve Jobs.
Oh my god, hold on. You can't go home? Did we do that one already?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Oh
a
no.
long time ago.
After all that, I might not. Oh, yes! Does this one start with Joey fixing a VCR?
Yes, that's it.
Anyway, so I'm reviewing the Brave Little Toaster Saves the Day, and it starts with this couple driving in a convertible, and they're listening to something tells me I'm into something good, like the old-timey song.
Yes.
And the girl goes, oh man, this sounds like a song your old radio would play. And I was like, okay, pause. Number 1, old radios don't play old songs, lady.
Yeah, you idiot.
And then I said,
cartoon.
number two, what an absolutely fascinating concept. Imagine if you had to constantly buy a new radio if you wanted to hear new music. Like, the era of radio you purchased only played that era of songs. And then I went, oh, did you hear that thump? That's Steve Jobs sitting up in his coffin.
That's good stuff.
I was pretty proud of that.
That is good stuff. Wow.
Check it out, Stay at Home Disney Dad on YouTube. Because I can't punish myself enough by watching old sitcoms. Got to do Disney movies too.
Yeah, it's not good enough for you, man. You're eventually going to get through the entire Disney Plus catalog, but exclusively on VHS.
That's what I have Disney Plus, but I watch these movies on VHS. I'm literally throwing away money each month. I don't think we really watch Disney Plus, honestly. We really don't watch that much.
I thought you meant you're throwing away money each month on electricity to run a VCR and an old tube TV.
No, actually, I convert it into my laptop. I convert the signal from VCR.
Oh, Jesus.
I could just watch Disney Plus, but I don't trust Disney Plus, I'm sure a lot of these movies have been edited.
Oh, yeah.
Or cut up some way,
Oh, for sure they have, yeah.
Some of them just have a disclaimer in front.
Yeah,
They're like, yeah, it's racist now, but it wasn't racist then.
Yeah. But it was hilarious then. A lot of episodes of The Muppet Show start like that.
Do they? Yeah, probably. We should probably start a podcast like that. At the time of taping, these jokes were not racist or insensitive.
Yeah. January 2022, it was fine. Fast forward to March 2022.
We've learned a lot.
Yes.
Reflecting back. Going back. Just like the title of every other Blossom episode, there's no going back. Let's do it, Sal. Let's jump right into this.
Okay.
Where are we here?
Good segue. Season 2, episode 14, called The Test. And it first aired January 6th, 1992. You caught up now?
I'm ready to go, buddy.
All right. You ready for the laziest description of all time? From Disney Plus.
I would expect nothing else.
Here we go, another week with this. Disney Plus says Blossom sits for the PSAT.
What? That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Hit me with number 2.
I'll repeat it again because we have the time. Blossom sits for the PSAT. TV Database says Blossom is confident about her PSATs while Six suffers from exam nerves, and things turn out differently than either expects. Then is spelled wrong as well. THEN, not THAN. Meanwhile, Anthony's IQ is tested by a trip to the racetrack with Buzz.
It's hard to remember which is the correct then when your overlords have you tied to a chair and you only have like a 1 foot radius to use your pen from like, you know, they gave you a little more slack on your right-handed chain. The cuff,
Jesus.
so you could actually write.
This just got dark, man.
Anyway, IMDb.com says
What am I listening to?
Oh, you can't hear that?
Not really.
That's the WWF test theme song.
Oh, nice.
Test. This is a test. Test.
Oh, that's amazing. Why didn't I
test.
think of that?
Here we go, everybody now. Happy News? You used to hang out with that guy, didn't you? Isn't he from Toronto? Andrew Martin?
He grew
Is
up
it
in
Andrew Martin, or is that the Coldplay guy? Which is
No.
Andrew Martin? Is he Test?
Yeah, Andrew Martin's Test, yeah. He grew up in the
Okay.
same hometown as me, but he was at least 15 years older than me. So, no, I did
Oh.
not know him personally.
So you didn't know him in life.
No. Never met
Did
the
you
guy.
know him in death?
I will find out. Remains to be seen. Remains to be seen.
Oh, gosh. Could you imagine if you died?
And Test is the first person I see.
And the gates open up and you hear, test, this is a test.
That'd be awesome.
Jesus is there, throwing up the NWO signs.
Yeah.
IMDb says,
Hit me.
The test. Blossom freezes up during her PSAT test while Joey finds a way to excel on his SAT test. Tony fears that he may become addicted to gambling when Buzz takes him to the track.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the first one the best.
Blossom
And I was
sits
only half listening
for the
because I was
PSAT.
trying to get the test theme song going.
I see that now. And I couldn't even hear it properly, so...
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. These USB condenser mics just don't pick up 90s theme songs.
No, I guess not. I guess not. All right, man. You want to take
Well-
us to a cold open?
Let's do it. The first thing I wrote on my iPhone that just fired up, that still says like 2%. Test. This is a test. It's 1992. I made a point of that. Is this the first show of 1992?
It is.
Nick is fixing a VCR, and this is like a scary window into my life.
Yeah.
Because even though
you're still doing
even though it's 2022, I still like to fix the odd VCR.
Well, you have to, because nobody else knows how.
It's true. But oh golly, Joey comes in with the manuals and is like, "You sure you should be doing this?"
Well,
It says right here.
He walks in carrying an entire drawer
Yeah.
that's filled with all of the manuals that they have for all of their appliances in the house.
And that's also kind of funny. He didn't
Yeah.
just take the manuals out of the drawer. He just took the drawer.
He just took the entire drawer. But did you notice?
And I bet you that was a Joey Lawrence ad at the last minute. You know?
Yeah, it could be. That was good stuff. I like that a lot. And I have a similar
Yes.
drawer at home. But did you notice what Joey was wearing
With
when he
VCR
walked in?
manuals?
Yeah, I
Okay,
probably.
no, sorry, what was he wearing?
I got all manuals that I've ever had.
Nice.
Did you notice
That's
what he was
impressive.
wearing though? He was wearing ripped jeans and a tied flannel around his waist.
Okay.
It's the first episode of 1992, man, and we're officially into 90s.
Oh, I guess
fashion.
yeah. He's all grunge now.
Yeah, man.
Forget 91. Forget 91.
Yeah, 91's in the dust, man. This is 92. I thought he was the lead singer of Pearl Jam.
So
The way
he
he
says,
was walking in with those manuals.
If I knew anything about Pearl Jam, I'd have some sort of Pearl Jam and manual pun. But I was like, Jeremy.
I thought you were quicker than that, man.
I just don't know Pearl Jam.
All right, fair enough. Nick's prying open the VCR with a screwdriver, and you know this is going to spell trouble. Nick's not a handyman. What's he doing with the VCR?
Joey says, "It says right here not to remove the top," and they miss the most obvious Joey removing a top joke ever.
Good
Writers
point.
fired this week, right?
Valid point.
I was like, it's right there. They pitched it right across the plate. No.
Yeah, they lobbed you one, man.
Roxy was not on her A game this week.
Nah, she was sick. She called in sick.
And Nick has the most dad line of all dad lines. He's, that's just a scam to pay a repairman to take you to the cleaners.
Yep.
I can remember taking a VCR to a repair shop.
Really?
Like, I can remember my parents doing that, yeah.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, I remember why, and I look back now, and I'm like, my parents were idiots.
What happened?
The eject button broke.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
And they took it in to get repaired.
Yeah.
If you have, like, the most basic understanding of how a button works on a VCR, it's just like a plastic clip. So all you have to do is basically open it up and remove the clip, and there's a little button in there that you can just reach in and press with your finger, and it does the same thing.
That's a good point.
But, you know, my parents.
It just wouldn't look right
What are
that way.
What are the chances
right.
What are the chances my parents weren't technologically on the ball?
Oh, really? I would have thought they would have passed it down to you, you know?
Okay.
So yeah, Nick complains that the repairman will take him to the cleaners, which sets up the expected, well, why would you take a VCR to the cleaners?
And I said, ironically, there are VCR cleaners. Like, there's a tape you put in that cleans your VCR.
I remember having, like, the cleaner for my NES.
Yeah.
It was like a cartridge with like a handle on it, and you have to put like the rubbing alcohol or whatever on the thing.
Yeah,
and you'd, like,
it's the exact same thing.
You kind of like finger the console.
I guess.
You know, you just like
Did you buy it?
jam
Did
it
you buy
in
it
and out of
supper
there.
first? We're still talking about the NES, right?
Yes.
You rub alcohol on it. And,
Yeah.
Yep.
Put alcohol in the cracks, and you just go to town, man.
Yeah, and the NES says no, but it really means yes.
Hey, it was the 90s.
It's like, who are you gonna tell, NES?
Yeah. Oh my God.
You're lucky I'm not doing this to the SNES because you're getting kind of old.
All right.
Joey's cramming for the SATs. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no.
And he says-
First, Nick tells him that the taking them to cleaners was a figure of speech, and Joey goes, a metaphor. And he's using these big words because he's cramming for the SATs.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he says metaphors are like, well, I can't think right now.
Yeah, he couldn't think of a metaphor to describe his current relationship with metaphors, which was kind of
That's
funny.
good stuff.
So
Yeah, no, that full marks for that.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the Spanish version joke?
yeah, so
I didn't.
Well, Nick tells him to start reading the manual, but he starts reading it in Spanish. That's kind of
Oh
the joke.
yeah, gotcha. Because I wrote this would be a perfect time to have like a legitimate like throwback clip of the time he worked in the Mexican restaurant, but
Right.
no,
Nah, there's none of that.
no.
So yeah,
Could you imagine if that was if Blossom was ahead of its time and it was doing that, doing the like flashback, like the Arrested Development thing? That would have been great.
Yeah, that stuff didn't exist in 1992.
No, you would have had to splice in a different tape.
Yeah, right?
That was just too much work,
That would have broken all their VCRs. They would have had to get them repaired for real.
right?
Yeah.
I would have been in line behind my parents. This doesn't eject. I don't know what
At
this
the
is.
Radio Shack. So
Well, I am interested in Butler Bot.
So after Joey starts reading in Spanish, he tells Nick where to connect the two wires in the VCR, and the VCR sparks, and it looks like it genuinely scares the out of Nick. Did you see his reaction to this?
Yeah.
The way he like flew
And
back
after they yelled cut, he was like, this thing was plugged in! And Roxy's just like laughing so hard she's spilling her Mickey a gin.
and somewhere on the set was a young Alec Baldwin being like, "Oh, I'll never make that mistake with a prop again."
Right? And he's like, I got you, Nick Russo, and makes the gun.
The look on Joey's face here was priceless too. And then it turned out he was reading the manual for the toaster.
And I said, that's stupid, but Nick is even stupider for not unplugging the VCR before taking it apart.
Right? That's a good point.
And from there, Sal, we go to the intro. And I wrote,
Yes.
it ain't third period French, so Curtis Anderson doesn't skip it. You like that one?
Oh, well done.
See, This is why recording was delayed for an hour while my iPhone 7 powered up.
Just so that you could find the gold like that, man.
Right? For real, though, I probably watched this and took notes like 6 weeks ago already.
I think you did. I really think you did.
I watched this the day after we recorded the last one.
Yeah, you got to stop with that because I watched this today. So
we're a good team, man. We're a good team.
yeah, all right, fair enough.
I feel like I actually watched this in 1992, but okay. I did the math, and I'm betting on Aztec Blossom, and it's her, and I freeze frame it, and for the first time, I really have no idea what to do with that outfit. Like, I can't. We make fun of it every other week, where she's like Nation of Domination, but like, if you really just let your mind go blank and stare at her ensemble, I have no idea what's happening. Like, who dressed that woman?
Yeah, I haven't paid that much attention to it, but it's not great.
It's like
not
a million
good
things It's a million things happening at once. Yeah. I feel like there's about 16 cultural appropriations in that one outfit, and it's not good.
It's like what? It's like
felt like
looking
that
at
was
the
going to
poster
go
of
somewhere,
Ernest
but
Goes
it
to
didn't.
Africa.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, we have Too Many Cooks, rom-com edition.
Yeah.
Take it away, Sal.
Well, Blossom and Six are studying. Six looks super stressed. They're studying for the PSATs. So I don't know anything about the United States except that, like, the SATs are the exam that basically determines whether or not you get into a good college. That's a way of doing school. Did you know that SATs is like KFC now? It doesn't actually stand for anything.
Really?
Yeah. It used to stand for...
it gives you diarrhea?
Let's end it there. That was good. I like it. I have nothing else to add.
I wrote Six doesn't want to take the PSATs, and she has the hair of Eleanor Roosevelt. I don't know if that's true because I don't know what kind of hair Eleanor Roosevelt had, but I needed an old lady to reference, and that was the first old lady I could think of.
All right. I mean, I agree. The hair was ridiculous.
And that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
Like, when some sort of hair or fashion stands out to us at this point as ridiculous, they have gone over and above on this show.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So what happens here? Blossom is explaining to Six and the viewers the dilemma with the SATs and how if they do well, they can go to whatever college they like. And then Six starts freaking out. She says it's too much pressure. And she says, what if it fails? Then it paves the way for TAS. And I thought TAS meant tough shit. I didn't know what she was talking about. But she says it stands for Test Anxiety Syndrome. And then she names all the tests that it could help cause her to fail. Pop quizzes, exams, blood tests, driving tests, pregnancy tests. And then I wrote, you know what? Six talks a lot about teenage pregnancy. Have you noticed that?
She does.
Is this something they're going to tackle with her, like, in Season 5? Would they still be teenagers in Season 5?
Probably.
Yeah, I feel like that's coming. I feel like that's a storyline that's coming.
Yeah, they're definitely setting the table for that. I was tracking all that, and then I just stopped cold and wrote, holy Jenna Von Oy's Six character sounds exactly like Ruth from Ozark, and I can't unhear this ever.
Really?
Have you watched Ozark?
Yeah, you think so, eh?
She sounds exactly like Ruth from Ozark. I don't know.
I don't see it. She doesn't have the accent, though.
She sounds... Here, it was in that opener here, where she was freaking out. I was like, it's Ruth!
Weird, man. That's crazy.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm also watching it on, like, my iPhone, so...
I thought you'd be watching
they do
it
the
on
bit
VHS.
where... I wish. Oh, God, I should get Blossom on VHS. I bet you that's available.
It's gotta
Blossom, Season 1, on VHS. There's, like, 24 VHS tapes.
Yeah.
They do a bit where Six screams multiple times, and you could tell the last one was ad-libbed by Von Oy, and Mayim wasn't expecting it because both ladies are still in character, but like Blossom reacts differently at the last one. It's more of okay, geez, like where's the cut?
Yeah, she talks about when you open the test book, you can hear the screams of all the past kids who failed. And then she starts screaming. Yeah, the third one. Like, Blossom's reaction to the third one was kind of lame. I thought it wasn't.
It was
quite
more
fitting.
of like it was more annoyed. Like they were only supposed to do it once, and then she did it twice, and they were waiting for the cut, like someone to yell cut, and then She just did it a third time, and Maya was like, all right.
Yeah, I get it. All right, so we go to the kitchen.
Okay, in the kitchen.
Tony's
Yes,
pacing.
take it away.
And this scene is so goddamn bright. Did you notice this?
I did notice this one.
Like-
I brought up how overexposed the show was a few episodes ago, and you were like,
Yeah, no, man. It was so bright in the kitchen.
Nick swapped the regular bulbs to LEDs.
Yeah. So, yeah, Tony's asking Buzz, of all people, for advice. Buzz tells him, never eat fish from a truck. All right, whatever. Whatever the that means.
So Tony has his hands deep in his pockets, and he's walking in circles around the old man, and Buzz is dressed like my own father, so that's fun.
Yeah, and Tony's wearing a sweater that says "See Son" on it in giant block letters, which is very off-putting to me. I didn't understand it, but we'll get there.
It was distracting. So Anthony wants to cut loose, and Buzz says, "Come to the racetrack." And then Buzz lists his 3 rules. Pick your horses the night before, never change them the next day, and only bring $10. And I wrote, the fact that number 3 wasn't a joke one makes me think these rules are going to be a huge part of the plot a little later on.
Yeah. Yeah, so Buzz thought it was good advice to bring a guy who has addiction problems to a racetrack, but here we are. So yeah, Buzz leaves the room. Joey bursts into the kitchen wearing a Letterman's jacket with a giant T on it. And between him and Tony's wardrobe, it reminds me of the Jingleheimer Junction sketch from SNL.
Yeah.
Remember that? With Will
I
Ferrell?
was just thinking that. Yeah.
I was like, they could accidentally rearrange the letters and spell depending on where they're standing.
Yeah.
So
that would have been amazing.
So Joey has a dilemma that was...
if they ever did that, though, I imagine a snap zoom into Buzz's face going, oh!
Man, that skit is so good, though.
Yeah, so Joey can't decide which school to play ball for. There's LSU, ASU, USC, one of the U's. And the audience laughs, but you know who thinks that's even more funny?
Who?
Satan. Because in my left earbud I hear...
I didn't hear that at all. I gotta watch this with headphones, man.
The evilest sadistic laugh at that. I don't know if it's that one of those. Remember in the first season, there's a few episodes where, like, I think it was whoever was making these dubs added his own laughter in the laugh track 100%. I don't know if it was one of those, but there's just like hell erupted over that one.
Crazy.
There are a lot of U's in universities.
So
I'd like to think Blossom was a big hit in hell.
Yeah, it's what they play in the waiting room, man.
They turn it on every Monday night in 1992. Shut up, it's on. He kicks over some guy with like 100 daggers in his side and uses them as a footstool to watch Blossom. Oh,
I just picture.
I really like that Buzz character. He gets it.
That's my kind of guy right there, that Buzz.
Always trying to bang the ladies.
So relatable.
I hear you, Buzz. I hear you.
So relatable.
Pimpin' ain't easy. I like to think the devil has a Pimpin' ain't easy t-shirt. And those sunglasses
but it's
with
like
those,
it's like a WWF Godfather, like official one though.
And he has those round like John Lennon sunglasses, only the ones that like flip up.
Oh yeah.
And a bright baby green Pimpin' ain't easy shirt with the outline of Charles Wright on it. I don't know why it doesn't burn either.
Good stuff.
And every time Blossom comes on, he runs in place like the Godfather would before he'd do his clothesline in the corner. Oh, my thumb slipped. I was like, they're fixing the VCR. Nick comes in with a toolbox. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no, he does come in with a toolbox.
Yeah.
Nick comes in with a toolbox.
He comes in the kitchen with a toolbox, and then...
This episode is like a snake eating its tail. They're just recycling footage now like the old Spider-Man cartoon. Joey, we need to fix the oven.
You kids better help me fix the automobile.
Satan spits out his daiquiri. His mouth isn't even moving.
Nick's really in it this week. So yeah, Joey asks Nick if he's cool if he takes his time getting through college. Nick says he should be worried about the SAT first. And then Joey, in probably the first time I've ever heard the Mad Magazine phrase in proper context, says, "What, me worry?"
What, me worry?
Right?
Right?
How good was that?
I was so happy when he said that.
Yeah.
I was like Leonardo DiCaprio meme pointing at my screen. I was like, oh,
There it is.
they said the
There it
thing.
is. There it is. Yeah.
Suck it, Alfred E. Newman or whoever it was.
Yeah. I think that was his name.
And like they don't hold on it or anything. Like they don't make a big deal about how they use the Mad
No, they
Magazine
just like
catchphrase.
gloss
So
right over it.
I'm not sure what to make of that.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like dropping a random product catchphrase in the middle of an episode that doesn't go anywhere, you know?
Yeah, totally.
They're like, all right, don't leave home without it. Like, all right. I'm loving it. All right. Where's the beef?
Help, I've fallen and I can't get up. Oh, wait, that was you.
He gets his toolbox. Hey, Joey, where's the beef?
What, me worry? Where's the beef? What's up?
It just hits differently. Nick asks Anthony if he ever thinks Joey is just acting dumb, and after the room, he giggles to himself.
Yeah.
Anthony looks sad and says, I don't think so, Dad. Okay.
Yeah, so Nick
Did I miss something with that? Did I do that scene justice?
Yeah, no, that was pretty much spot on. Because Joey had said something about multiple guests, and he was like, multiple guests? He's like, yeah, because if it was only one thing to guess, then everybody would just get into college.
All right.
It didn't really go anywhere. Anyways, Nick wants Tony to help him fix the garbage disposal because he can't afford a handyman. And Nick says he knows about plumbing because he's Italian. It's in their genes. And I
Is
thought,
that true?
well, that's a stereotype. We're all just Super Mario to you, aren't we? Hey, Bull Richmond. All Italians are just Super Mario, huh?
Oh, man. He is so going to get whacked, isn't he, Sal? Are you putting in the call?
Man, he's sleeping with the fishes.
Is Richard going to be... Damn it, is Richard going to be sleeping with the fishes?
Apparently, because we're all plumbers or in the mafia.
I was thinking you were probably playing dice when you saw that part, and you're like, oh, that's it. It's on. Let's go, boys.
I stood up, waved my hands, go, you can believe this guy?
Everyone in their Adidas tracksuits are like, oh, this guy's got to die.
My paisans were like, yo, forget about it.
Satan was like, oh, clear some more beds.
So
I can't wait to meet Bill Richmond.
So they have a conversation while they're under the sink, and they don't
Hold on, pause. For real, though, is that a stereotype? Like, is that honestly why Mario and Luigi are plumbers and Italian?
Yeah.
That's a stereotype? For real?
Yeah, for sure, yeah. Well,
Italians are good at plumbing.
Well, Italians are like anything with their hands, like plumbing. You want to make a driveway nice, landscaping. Yeah, it's all Italians, man.
What are you talking about? Are you serious?
Yeah, man.
You're just putting yourself over because you're Italian. Yeah.
Who the hell do you think built the New York subway systems? Italian immigrants, man.
My MacBook just yelled at me. It says, yes, I'm not allowed to be frivolous. What is happening, Sal?
Your deal with technology, man.
Siri popped up and yelled at me. It scared the crap out of me. All of a sudden, this voice to my right said, you're not allowed to be frivolous. I'm like, oh, God. Oh, Sal,
I guess you're not allowed to be
mind.
frivolous.
Well, sorry. Make fun of one Italian, and the computer gets mad at me.
Well, let's move on.
They stuck their heads under the sink, and Nick doesn't realize that Blossom came into the kitchen. He starts pumping her tires about...
yeah, they just start praising her about how smart she is, and her reaction to them, praising her is pretty funny.
Yeah.
She's going to the fridge to get a couple soda pops for her and Six, and then it ends with Tony saying she's so smart she'll probably get 2 scholarships and give one to Joey. And then Nick has, the most over-the-top laugh here.
Yeah, he says she could be the first Russo to go for Harvard, and I was like, what? Nick didn't go to Harvard?
Right? So...
Yeah, Blossom's eating that shit up.
Totally.
They turn the garbage disposal on, and it sprays rotten food in their faces.
Yeah. I wrote, after 20 seconds, they think they fixed the garbage disposal.
Yeah.
Nick tells Tony to call the plumber. Get a real in here, he says. I forgot I wrote that in my notes.
They went to forgetaboutit.com. Whew, wow, don't ever do that to me again. All right. Yeah, it says, Anthony says, call that plumber. Or no, Nick says, Anthony, call that plumber. And then did you notice there was complete silence? Like they forgot to put the laugh track in there?
Oh, no, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, there's just nothing. That's it. Deafening silence. Because they saw to the side of the set behind the cameraman, there's this guy in an Adidas tracksuit giving him the throat cut motion.
Oh, man, that's I did not pick up on that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Tony says not to worry. Not everybody goes to college. And apparently Tony did go to college for a year and didn't remember. And he says, so that's where I got this sweatshirt. And then we get the famous Nick eye roll.
Yeah. Oh.
So then Buzz comes back in with the newspaper.
It's a cutaway to Nick. It's a cutaway of Nick just kind of standing there. I said this episode is edited really weirdly.
Yeah, it was.
It's like they let a film school intern do it or something.
Yeah, it was odd, man. That really stood out. It was jarring. Like, it just cuts to Nick, and the camera was kind of shaky too when it cut to him. It was like it was not supposed to be that at all.
It's amateur hour because the Italian crew left and protest.
Yeah, definitely. The Italian Teamsters. So Buzz comes back in with a newspaper, tells Tony to do his homework, and then Nick is all of a sudden worried that it's not a good idea for Tony to go to the racetrack. And that's all I got for the rest of this scene. I don't know if you have anything else.
Yeah, that's all I got too. Because then we go to 6 wants to go to the Clown Academy of Spokane, Washington.
Yeah.
All you need to do is to be able to fit into a Volkswagen with 14 other people. And I said, Curtis is too lazy to turn that into a sex joke and suddenly wonders if life has just passed him by. Is this new Curtis? Have I been cured?
You're a new man, because I thought the same thing too.
Right? Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, so then Nick waltzes into the room to change the doorknob in Blossom's closet. Nick's not a handyman. And after 2 seconds...
I will give them credit. Because at this point I just threw up my hands and I said, is this the plot for the week that Nick fixes crap?
Yeah.
But it comes around later. It comes around.
It does, but not in a very good way, I didn't think.
I wrote, I bet the Disney Plus synopsis is Nick fixes.
One day we will get a 2-word synopsis. That is my goal, to get to a point where we have a 2-word synopsis.
6 asks him what it was like to go to college in the old days, and Nick says, we would ride to school on woolly mammoths.
Yeah. He said college was powered by steam.
He says, but the real joke is that he opens G in my notes. The first half of my notes cut off, so I don't know what the hell I was trying to say there. But it was going to be the best joke I ever made. We would have been on the floor in tears. But I got nothing.
I have no doubt. All right, moving on. I wrote, after 2 seconds of doing nothing, he fixes the doorknob. He walked in with a new doorknob in his hand, and then he was literally there for like 2 seconds. Was like, all right, it's fixed. I don't have a lot of expert in fixing doorknobs, but I feel like there would be a lot more swearing involved, at least when I do it.
Oh, whatever. You were like, look at that Pisano. That's not how you do it. Come on, Lefty Lucy, come on.
So 6 is leaving. Nick asks if she's worried about the test, and I forget what 6 says here. She leaves. He asks Blossom if she's worried about the test. Blossom says no, and then Nick starts adding all this pressure to her by talking about going to Harvard and becoming a doctor. And Blossom said she's fine.
My daughter, the doctor.
Yeah.
He just wants free, like, penicillin for all his STDs. He knows Blossom can hook him up.
Yeah.
After he goes through the Irish
lass. Blossom says she's fine, but it's 6 who's having a hard time with the test. And then it cuts to 6 at the school freaking out.
And Joey saunters down the hall, and he's vacant? Is that right? I wrote he's vacant. Vacant.
I don't know, yeah.
And Blossom sends him on... Oh, yeah, he doesn't really know where he's going or something. Is that the joke? And Blossom sends him on his way?
Yeah, he's just kind of like so freaked out that he has no idea what's going on, and then Blossom tells him what room to go into.
He's vacant.
All right. So then, yeah, Six says that Joey has test anxiety syndrome. She decides that maybe she'll fake a heart attack or have a real one in the process. And then Blossom ends up dragging her to class. And then the next scene I thought was hilarious, where it cut to the kids sitting in the classroom. They were all looking forward with their mouths agape, just like super shocked. Omar Gooding's back.
They are the last two zombies in the class.
Yes.
And they start freaking out. And man, I've been there. I did not enjoy this scene. I could never keep it together at school. Like, my anxiety just absolutely spiked during finals.
Yeah, eh?
So I hate this episode just for that. That way it made me feel where it dragged me back. And I still have, once in a while, have like a bad dream where I'm like at school and not prepared for something.
Right. Yeah,
That's
still have
like a reoccurring dream I have once in a while.
I always have like a reoccurring dream that like I didn't show up to a class for an entire semester, and then it's like, your final project is due tomorrow, and I have no idea what it's on. Like, I always have that kind of dream.
Yeah. That's all the same variation.
It's weird that doesn't end for people. Like, that anxiety never ends.
There's times where I can't remember my combination, or I just can't remember a class. Even if there's not like a test or something, it's just like, oh crap.
Right.
Where am I going for third period? Like, I have no idea. And I'm trying to like think of where I would have it written down, and I've just got nothing. And I'm standing in the hallway like an idiot. Like, I have no idea where I'm supposed to be going.
Right.
But then other times, I'm just, no, I'm going to bomb a test, because I've had that. I've sat down and been like, well,
I've had
this.
that plenty of times.
And it never feels good.
No, of course not.
And then I'd always walk out of there being like, well, I'm never going to do that again. This is my wake-up call to study hard for the next one. And guess what, Sal?
You did not. I'm with you there.
And now, here we are, doing a podcast about Blossom.
Yeah, Blossom
Yes, it's
opens
that
her
famous kid actor.
Oh, I just said Blossom opens her exam booklet and it screamed. And I thought that was a funny callback because I forgot about that from the scene prior.
She what?
She opens her exam booklet and it screams at her.
Oh, yeah.
So they end up starting the test, and then Blossom looks stumped. She can't even remember her own name.
Yes. Have we come back from commercial yet?
We are now, sure.
Yes, because they go to a commercial break, and when we come back, there's no too many cooks. We just come right back into the classroom.
Yeah, it's like a sweeping pan across the classroom, like showing all the kids taking their tests.
Yep. We go from kid to kid to kid.
Yeah, and it lands on some guy in the end, and he talks directly to the camera. And he says he gets a perfect score on the PSAT and doesn't even have to take the SAT. He gets into Stanford, becomes a plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills, and he even marries Shannon Doherty.
Yup. The ginger becomes a microbiologist.
A marine biologist, and she works for the Clousteau Society. Unfortunately, at the height of her career, she gets eaten by a giant clam. The next guy is just Woody Allen.
And the only reason I knew that is because I watched this with closed captioning, and it said, in Woody Allen voice.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah.
The next guy was Omar Gooding, who we've seen before on the show. And he says, although he was a dull and awkward child, the result of this test gives him the confidence he needs. He went on to create a process that turns dog waste into auto fuel, and retires at the age of 19 as a multi-billionaire. Dig it! I thought that was hilarious.
I said, who is this Smack'em Frog?
Right?
And over to Blossom Sal.
Yeah, so she goes on a rant about how she ends up failing the test. She's being driven to drink, living with a facial tic, and selling dog turds to the rich guy's company.
And I give that full marks. That was one continuous shot.
Right?
Can you imagine the it was probably not by accident they put Omar and Mayim as the last two.
Yeah.
Because could you imagine getting to like the fifth one? Like, can you imagine if Blossom flubbed her line, how bad you'd feel, how much pressure there would be to hit your line when you're Blossom?
I know,
that was
right?
a good like 3-minute one shot, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was great, man. And it was like,
Well
you could
done.
tell that they were like cutting the audio and cueing all the kids to like look up. Because there's
Yeah,
like these
for
huge
sure.
gaps where like it would just like land on a kid and then sit there for like a good 2 seconds, which is forever
Yeah.
in TV time. It was well done, though. That was a good scene. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Yeah, so...
And we're over at the track.
yes.
Anthony's losing his mind and screaming at the horses, and he's screaming, yes, 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 yes. And Buzz says, it's good for me too. So there's the sex humor.
There it is. So they made $1,000 from their $10, and Tony wants to quit while they're ahead. And then Buzz starts talking about women that they could pick up at the casino. You know, ones that are attracted to the money. And there it is. Buzz is back.
Yeah, we go to learn that Buzz goes to the track for women because there's a certain type of woman you can only get at the track. And yeah, they're attracted to money. Yeah. Anthony says, we have lots of money. And then we go to Too Many Cooks. Back to Joey and Blossom as they come home.
Yeah, Joey's waltzing in looking real happy, saying he did well on his SAT. And he goes, did you know you get 200 free points just for writing your name? I wrote mine twice.
Okay, I'm reading this for like the first time here. What did I write? Blossom's acting defeated, but really she should be livid. This isn't a ho-hum moment. She just completely screwed her future.
Right?
Yeah, that's fair. She overreacts, and there should have been a laugh track, but there wasn't, and it's an awkward delivery. Is that fair?
Yeah, fair enough. But
All right.
yeah, it was like the way that she reacted and then how she ran off. It was like the runoff was so dramatic, but like what she said wasn't like, I don't know, it just didn't fit.
Yeah, okay, it's coming back to me now. Yeah, she was kind of ho-hum about it.
Yeah, like the way that she
I
flipped
think
out
if
on
you're-
Nick was like kind of funny, and then the way that she ran off was all dramatic, and the audience was kind of like they didn't know how to react.
Yeah, it was a very unblossom for that situation. That's not how that character would have acted at all.
No, but the way that Joey turned around to Nick and just goes chicks, that was good stuff.
Yeah, that's good. That's hashtag 1992.
Right?
Back to the track, and some lady in a red dress is serving Anthony a drink.
Yep. Turns out in this time that they've won $78,000.
And he just goes, more, and she scuttles off.
Yeah.
And then we learn there's a late entry called Blossom, and Anthony wants to deviate from the plan, and Buzz says no, but Buzz also doesn't really care, and lets crazy Anthony bet $78,000 on young Blossom. Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't the whole thing about the Buzz character that he's constantly broke?
Yeah. Yeah. It makes no sense, but he's like, yeah, all right, fine. You want to bet $78,000 because the horse is named Blossom? Like, go for it. So that's what Tony does.
Yeah, and then we come back home, and Buzz and Anthony come home, and guess what? You'll never believe it. They lost it all.
Wah, wah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and Anthony has
then
one
Buzz
of those,
tries
like,
to get all philosophical with him. He's like, it wasn't our money to begin with. We just had temporary custody on it. And then it's revealed here that Tony took acid on a roller coaster. Did you get that part?
No, I was too transfixed on that skinny skull bone necklace.
Yeah, that was odd.
He was wearing.
That was really odd. Yeah.
Yeah, he got a lot of screen time, a lot of acting time in this episode, and it wasn't all good.
No. Yeah, he
He
said
got to
something.
play
He
a
said something
range.
about how he felt when he would get addicted to something. He would feel the wind going by his ears, and he said that was the first time he took acid on a roller coaster or something like that. I don't know.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
It was just odd. But now Tony has to go to meetings for gambling. So way to go, Buzz.
And then Nick comes in and calls him.
Well, I was just saying, Buzz tries to teach him a lesson here about the fun that they had in the entire process. And I don't know if that was worth it, bro.
You're right. So Nick comes in and calls him Buzz the Greek. And I
Yeah.
don't get it. He's like, tell your dad how it went. And Anthony goes, we lost $10. And Nick says, well, that didn't hurt too bad. And Anthony laughs until he cries.
Yes.
With 4 minutes and credits left, Nick goes to talk to Blossom, who's hiding in her closet. He gets inside with her, and that's a giant closet.
Yeah, right? It's huge.
And she's like, last time she was in here was when he and Mum split up.
Yes. He used to have to slide pancakes under the door because it was the only thing that would
Yeah, they
fit.
steal a Kids in the Hall joke.
Is that a Kids in the Hall joke?
Yeah.
Oh.
Which I might have to track the time. Maybe that one came out after Blossom, because Kids in the Hall would have been on the same time as this, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
He's like, I'll feed you flat food. Stuff that I can slide under the door, like pancakes and pizza. And then Blossom tells her dad she cracked under pressure. Nick doesn't care. They hug. Six comes in. They have a weird exchange between Nick and Six.
Yeah, it was odd.
Where they say each other looks nice even though they can't see each other.
Yeah.
And here it comes, Sal. You want the honors?
Sure.
What do we do?
So
what do we do
when
here?
Six comes into the closet, she says, "Oh, so what did your dad say to you?" And Blossom says, "He said all the right things. It's just a test. I love you anyways. It's not as bad as you think. It's like he took a Cosby pill." There's the line, Curtis. There's the
I don't
line
even
that
know
I
how to play
texted you
that.
earlier today when I saw this.
I have been waiting for you to watch this episode for like 6 weeks. Like,
Right?
my notes stopped here. I didn't finish the episode, I'll be honest. I was like, Cosby Pill? Stop. walk away.
There's
I have
really
no
nothing
idea how
else to
this
talk
ends.
about. Now, that means...
I don't know how it ends.
Obviously,
He
30
took
years
a
later...
Cosby pill. Nobody edited that part out. They couldn't have cut that part out. You know, did nobody watch these?
No, man.
Did
Nobody watched
vet these before? Oh my, how do you let that joke? That is, like, it's hilarious. It's insensitive. It's shocking. It's dated. Like, I don't know,
Yeah, but
man.
it's not meant to be, right? Because, like, she's basically
But
saying, like, he took, like, the good dad pill to, like, you know, have a father-daughter pep talk. But
it's
it means
so
something
specific.
completely different 30 years later. And you know what I said? This is where I wrote this in my notes. Was this a known thing? Was this like
Right?
Was this like a known thing that was like around? It was just like nobody said or dared to do anything about it,
Yeah, I never even thought about that.
right?
They were, like, giving us a warning.
Yeah. And then I wrote,
Like that time Corey Feldman went on that talk show and talked about how Hollywood's full of pedophiles and there's like a ring that'll crush your career if you speak out against it. And like
Yeah,
all
man.
these young
and everybody
people
was
get
like,
abused.
"Oh, this guy's nuts."
Yeah, and it turns out he was right. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. And like who is it, Drew Barrymore? I think she won an award and was like making jokes, and she was like, "Yeah, I just got to make sure I don't get invited back to Harvey Weinstein's
Yeah.
like hotel room after this or something."
Somebody
Did you see that clip?
No, but I saw somebody else said a clip that was like they had
was, like,
said
10
something
years
about
old.
Harvey Weinstein. They were like, "Don't take media." It was like, "Oh, if you could give advice to like young actors, it would be like, oh, do this, and don't take a private meeting with Harvey Weinstein."
Yeah. Crazy. I wonder if that was a thing. Yeah. I never even thought
Why
about that.
do I feel like it was Courtney Love that said that?
Yeah. It was definitely Courtney Love that said that. Did I get that wrong? I thought Drew Barrymore said something
It's
like that
entirely
too.
possible. Yeah. So
Yeah, maybe I'm getting them mixed up because Courtney Love and Drew Barrymore are completely interchangeable.
Yeah. I wonder if that was one of those known things that was like out there in the lore of like Cosby, and somebody like wrote it into the show.
They were just drilling Bill.
Yeah,
They're like, the
it's-
day's coming, Cosby.
They take random shots, man.
It's true. Good
And
for
then-
you, man. I was not thinking about that at all. They're sticking it. Look at Blossom. Look at Richmond.
Right?
They're sticking it to Cosby.
I mean, I think we're
They're
giving them too much
exposing
credit
the
here, but-
lies already.
Yeah. And then the next line,
No, but
Blossom
if that
says,
was a rumor and they put it in, that's pretty funny. Like,
Right?
good for them.
that's ballsy.
That paid off well. I
And
feel
then-
like if that was true, though, the writers would have been all over this clip a few years ago when it broke.
Maybe.
You know?
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah. No, you're probably right. But yeah, that was just surreal hearing it's like he took a Cosby
Right?
pill, knowing that takes on a whole other context 30 years later.
It's
Like
the
that
most bizarre.
that might be the most sobering 1990 thing that we might ever come across in this show. It'd be like if Blossom was like, my dad got divorce advice from O.J. Simpson.
Right.
Yeah, so then Six starts rifling off all the things in life that are going to end up f***ing him over, in addition to the SATs. I didn't really take much note of that, but while she's doing this, Blossom's playing with one of those roller skate shoe attachment things, which I thought was just like a funny touch of like random crap that would be in her closet, but like, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
They're like things you put you step into with your shoe and it'd be like, turn it into a roller skate. I don't know. I thought that was pretty 90s.
Product placement.
Joey comes into the room looking for Blossom. There's a whole moment here where they're talking. I think it's a Superman reference where she's like, "I'm talking to you through the void" or whatever. I don't know. I don't watch Superman. So Joey ends up joining them in the closet. And he wants to come cheer Blossom up because he did so well on the SATs and she didn't. And he says, "Oh, it'd be great to bring a chick in here." And Six agrees.
Poor Six. See, I didn't see any of this. I just stopped watching. So I was like, how much more can happen? There's like 40 seconds, but no.
Yeah, there's really not much more
They
left.
They cram so much in the last few minutes of every episode of Blossom. It's almost infuriating
Right.
when you're taking notes.
Yeah.
Can this show just breathe?
So Joey welcomes Blossom to the dumb group where he says there's no pressure on her to be smart. But then Six reminds Joey that since he did well on the SAT, now he has all this added pressure. And he goes, "Oh, geez, why didn't I think of that?" And his like fake cry, concerned thing that he does is hilarious.
Yeah, I can see it right now. Oh,
Yeah. where his like eyebrows go up. It's hilarious.
Yeah, his eyebrows go up while his eyes close.
Yeah,
it's,
so funny.
It's impossible to recreate.
Yeah. So Blossom says she's gonna cheer him up, and they go to leave the closet. And callback, Curtis. They can't open the door from when Nick fixed the doorknob. It cuts to a Too Many Cooks shot of the three of them going, "Help!" and the episode ends. All right, so your notes really ended, eh?
Yeah, seriously, I didn't do it. I was like, this is Sal's thing. He looks up who the people were, and I'm just gonna sit here and roll around the fact that they made a Cosby Pill joke in 1992.
Right. I mean, it's a good thing to end off on, I suppose, because it's that shocking. Let's get to some guesties. Let's get to some guesties, Curtis. So we only have one. We only have one pit member this week, if you want to count her. Teddy, who was played by Marjorie Harris. She was the ginger girl who got eaten by the giant clam. They're all credited. They're all in the credits. All the kids who had speaking lines were in the credits. So
I'd imagine.
yeah. So it's potential pit member, and I'll explain why she's the only pit member. Because every other kid comes back.
Seriously?
Yep. So
Omar. Okay.
So Teddy was played by Marjorie Harris. She didn't go on to do much, despite having a lot of headshots on IMDb. She's our only pit member this week. The proctor, who I'm assuming was the guy who was running the SAT exam, he was played by Greg Daniel, and not to be confused with Greg Daniels.
The guy that wrote Parks and Rec and
yeah, and the Office and The Simpsons and King of the Hill.
And King of the Hill, that's the other one. Yeah.
Different guy. But this Greg Daniel comes back 3 episodes later as Mr. Ross.
Mr. Raw?
Ross. Brad, who we've seen before, played by Omar Gooding. This is his second appearance, and he makes 2 more appearances in the show, possibly as a character named Tyler. Susan,
refuses to stay in the pit.
The other girl, was played by Megan McGinnis. She didn't do much for a while after Blossom, but she popped up recently in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. She was in the Rockumentary episode as fan number 2, and she makes a few more appearances in Blossom as Susan and as well as Jennifer. And Jimmy was the first guy who spoke. I don't know if he looked familiar to you or not. He's played by Jason Marsden. He's done a lot of voiceover work. He was Max in a Goofy movie.
No way.
Have you reviewed a Goofy movie yet?
I sure have.
Nice. It's a good movie. He was basically on all the TGIF shows at one point. He was on Full House and Boy Meets World and Step by Step.
What a fascinating career.
And he returns in another episode in this season as a character named Eddie Warwick. So we only have one pit member this week. Everybody else comes back.
Imagine being one of those, like, extras with lines.
Right? You get paid more.
I can't wrap my head around. Oh, for sure, but like, we used you 3 episodes ago, but now we're bringing you back as a different character. That just seems like something they wouldn't do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a lot of shows do it. Like a lot of like.
It just seems like they'd have such a large pool of young actors and actresses that they wouldn't have to do that. Even though, I mean, they probably like them, or they.
But I guess since
somebody,
every episode is so like different and like standalone that it's almost like it doesn't really matter.
That's fair. And I'm looking at it through 2022 glasses too. Could you imagine if a show this year did that?
Right.
Brought the same actress back.
Well, things are watched differently now anyways, right? It's
the internet would melt.
Yeah, I mean, like things aren't weekly episodic, like where it's like you'd probably forget anyways watching it week to week that it was the same person. But only 2 guys who go back 30 years later pick up on this.
Us. I'm sorry, I still can't get past Cosby Pill. That's eerily. You brought a whole new dimension to it for me.
Wow.
I just thought it was funny and, like, unfortunate. Just a really sad coincidence. Now I can't stop thinking about if, like, maybe there were rumors and murmurs.
Yeah, chew on that for a while,
man. The
man.
Writers of Blossom were like, yeah, let's do it. Let's put it in there, see what happens. Screw you, Cosby Show. That's the #1 rated, like, sitcom of 1992. Because it probably was.
Oh, yeah, for sure it was.
And that seems like exactly the kind of shot the Writers of Blossom would take. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, so chew on that one for a while.
You blew my mind.
You're welcome.
Blew my mind.
You're welcome. Did he have something on the show that was like very... Okay, first of all, wasn't he a gynecologist? Wasn't Dr. Huxtable a gynecologist?
I think so.
Which is a little weird.
I don't know.
But then didn't he have a thing where he'd always talk about, like, people would eat his barbecue sauce and they'd want to, like, bang? Like, when people eat my barbecue sauce. That was, like, his thing, that they'd want to bang after trying his barbecue sauce.
I do not remember that.
The guy was writing it into his own show, man.
10 hands with waving fingers covering his face, and then they all drop as he looks up with that stupid expression on his face.
Are you talking about, like, at the end of the intro?
Yeah. And he'd always like have that dumb look on his face as he was like peacock walking. God,
Yeah.
why did anybody watch that show? How did we not? How did that go? How did that go for 8 seasons without us realizing he was an absolute lunatic? Like,
He was a gynecologist
seriously.
whose office was in his basement. Nobody said
oh my god.
All right. Well, I think Cosby Pill is going to be the phrase to beat for the rest of the series. Good stuff.
Oh, good man. All right, I'm hitting stop.
All right,
Oh,
well,
no, wait. What are we doing? Hold on.
Don't stop, man. We got next week.
Because and this I could not get past this one. You know, like the one with Fresh Prince.
Yeah. Well,
How
oh my
it was
God,
like,
we
you
haven't
saw
even
the
talked.
thumbnail?
We haven't even talked since the Fresh Prince, man.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth. I was hoping for an excuse to use that joke, but it didn't come up.
Oh,
but I was
man.
saying, sometimes those thumbnails jump out, like the one with the Fresh Prince I couldn't stop looking at. Next week's is another one where I could not stop looking at the thumbnail.
Yeah, it's
Hot
odd.
for teacher.
She's
What is
got
your
it
thumbnail?
bad, got it bad, got it bad. She's hot for teacher. Good time.
Hot for teacher. What's your thumbnail, though? What's the thumbnail?
It's like a weird 80s, like, kind of that thing from Grease where, like, you know, they're in, like, the blurred window. You know what I mean? It's like a big thing of the teacher. Like, it's a guy with a mullet.
I have
and Blossom.
Yes, I have Blossom, like, head to shoulder shot, looking off into the distance. Then in the looking room is like
Yeah, that's what I meant.
dissolved
Yeah,
head.
It's like a half
It looks
dissolved
like one of
head
those like it's like how they used to take class portraits in the 80s.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, totally.
No, there's this floating head of like looks like looks like MacGruber.
MacGruber!
Next week on the OK Boomer podcast, Blossom bangs MacGruber.
Next week, Blossom bangs MacGruber. So
Well,
good.
Blossom, to fix this problem, I'm gonna take the clip from my belt, a paper clip, this copy of the Webster's Dictionary, and then I'm gonna plow you.
All right, that's a good spot there.
Don't know about the future. That's anybody's guess.
All right, man.
I'm hitting stop.
Hit and stop.